It isn't over yet, but the finishing line of the marathon is in sight. 85 constituencies across 8 states voted today in the 4th phase of this grueling 5-phase general election. Salams and pranams to you, citizens of India. Here are the top headlines tonight. All of Rajasthan, all of Haryana, a big part of West Bengal, parts of UP and Punjab, 3 seats in Bihar. And last but not the least, the national capital, New Delhi, went to the polls today. Gains are predicted for the Congress in this phase. BJP is looking to contain the damage. 75% voting in Bengal. This is the big Bengali turnout. Is this a vote for change, Poriborton? And is the left in serious trouble in its bastion? Former Chief Ministers of UP, Mulayam Singh Yadav and Kalyan Singh, faced the voter today. Will their alliance damage the Samajwadi Party? And is there a growing nostalgia and goodwill increasingly for the Congress in Uttar Pradesh? Operation Hold My Hand has officially begun for the Congress. With just one phase to go, Congress signals come one, come all. From Nitish Kumar to Jayalalitha, BJP too all set for a rally on the 10th to show off its own allies. And joining us tonight, 3 of India's most talented politicians. We're very privileged to present Abhishek Singhvi, Senior Leader of the Congress, Arun Jaitley, MP and General Secretary of the BJP, and we will also be joined by Sitaram Yechury, Senior Leader of the CPM. And that's not all. Right here in our studio, our own talents, Yogendra Yadav, the Haryana Hurricane, and India's premier cephalogist and analyst, Diktosh Majumdar, National Affairs Editor of CNNIBN, Rajdeep Sardesai, Editor-in-Chief of CNNIBN. And before we begin, the top story tonight, a respectable turnout today despite the scorching heat. Delhi slightly put Mumbai to shame with a 50% plus turnout. Here's a report.
The scorching heat of 44 degrees in Uttar Pradesh still ensured that 50% of voters turned up at the polling booth. But the heat did get to Mulayam Singh. Neighbouring Delhi was slightly cooler with a high of 37 degrees and 50% of the capital's voters exercised their franchise. Punjab and Haryana had a high of 40 degrees. The voter turnout beat the weather gods, with Punjab touching 65% and Haryana recording 54%. Rajasthan was cooler with a high of 37 degrees and the voter percentage was pushed up to 50%. West Bengal stayed warm at 35 degrees, but that didn't stop people from casting their vote and recording a turnout of 75%, especially in the violence-hit Nandigram area. Bihar's voters gave the polls a miss, just 37%, but the temperatures made it all the way to 41 degrees. At least one of the 2 Bihari Babus would be sweating. Temperatures and voter turnout in Jammu and Kashmir stayed low. Pleasant weather with a high of just 22 degrees, but a voter turnout of only 24%. Perhaps the poll boycott call had some effect. Bureau Report, CNNIBN.
Now, allies, can someone please get me some allies? That seems to be the plea of both Congress and BJP. A fractured mandate is inevitable, and so this election can be described as a post-poll election. Today, we may have voted in the 4th phase, but politicians are focused on the 6th phase, which is after the elections when all those post-poll alliances will have to be struck.
More than a week and 86 more seats yet to vote, all attention is already on post-poll tie-ups. With a fractured mandate a certainty, both the NDA and the UPA will need to shore up their numbers with new partners.
There are leaders who are in the opposition.
Congress has brought out its biggest guns in the hunt for allies.
Mr. Nitish, for example.
On the polling day, that net was cast again.
Nitish Kumar is there, Naveen Patnaik is there, they're all there. But I don't know, I'm not speaking on their behalf, neither of them are taking decisions on their behalf. They will take their decisions, which each one of them has said at some point or the other, that let the results come out, then they will pick their choices.
Nitish again refused to take the bait for now.
So far as we are concerned, JDU is part of NDA and we are in government in Bihar. It's an alliance government and we don't think beyond that.
Some old allies reaffirmed their loyalty.
Largest party that will come into Delhi will be UPA, and therefore UPA has made its choice in Dr. Manmohan Singh, and it's quite clear.
But some of them wanted a clear price for their allegiance.
समाजवादी पार्टी के बिना कोई सरकार नहीं बनेगी दिल्ली। ये सरकार ठीक से नहीं चल रही है, तो अब ग्राउंड बन गया है। जो सरकार का साथ लेंगे देंगे, जो इस सरकार को पहले बर्खास्त करें, उत्तरी सरकार को बर्खास्त करें।
And some recently parted showed the Congress a glimmer of hope.
Rahul Gandhi indicated that he's open to seeking support from you, which the Congress all along has been maintaining. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we'll take a call on all these matters only post-16.
In the BJP, the level of confidence appeared higher. The party president claiming to have tied up his post-poll alliances but choosing to keep them secret.
बीजेपी लेड एनडीए के लिए एलाइज की कमी नहीं होने वाली है, और वैसे भी हम लोगों ने हर प्रकार का प्रिकॉशन लिया है।
It's a little more than a week to go for the results, but this is a long time in politics. Long enough for new alignments and realignments. With bureau inputs in New Delhi, Neelu Vyas.
Our first big talking point tonight, which alliance is more likely to get post-poll allies? Remember, it's all down to the post-poll allies now. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi of the Congress, let's start with you. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, let's actually start with you. Now, the Congress is saying we shall form the government. There is no question of changing Manmohan Singh. We will not support a third front government. Given the fact that, at the moment the lie of the land is not that much in your favor, aren't you being a little bit over-ambitious in thinking that allies will all gravitate towards you? You will form the government and Manmohan Singh will be your unchanging Prime Minister.
Not in the least, Sagarika. There are two principles on which our confidence is based. The first is that we must and shall and will become the single largest poll. That happens if you just look at a map of India and go down adding likely Congress wins from Jammu and Kashmir through Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan. I'm talking of the more positive states, and so on and so forth. And West Bengal in the east, northeast states, Karnataka, Kerala, etc. Clearly, we are going to be well above any other party on the single largest front. Number two, the moment you cross that, your own understanding of Indian politics, the history of other political parties who call themselves third, fourth or fifth front, their philosophy, their thinking, their past conduct, all will tell you that they are much more likely to join with us as the single largest poll. So I think we have absolutely no doubt that in the first place, well above a figure which is higher than any other party by 20, 30, 40 seats, and secondly, a clear crossing of 272 with the help of Congress Plus, because they are already have been historically, they are certainly more opposed to the NDA than to the UPA.
Okay, Mr. Jaitley, respond to that all these parties are more opposed to the NDA and are less opposed to the UPA.
Well, I think there are two principles which are going to guide the formation of the next government. I agree with Abhishek on the first one, but I completely disagree with his perverse arithmetic. I don't know how he gets Congress as the largest single party. I think you have to be the largest single party, you have to be the largest single alliance. On this issue, I don't see any hope in hell for the Congress being the largest single party. Whether it's RJD plus or it's DMK plus, I see the allies figure substantially going down. The size of the UPA will be very, very small compared to the last UPA. The second principle is, what is your access to the allies? Now, I don't see a situation that parties which are predominantly anti-Congress in their states, whose stakes in the state depend on either forming their own government in the state or which occupy an anti-Congress space, merely because Rahul Gandhi has smiled at them. These parties were not born yesterday that they are going to change their stance and turn towards
But what about anti-communal?
The third factor.
What about the parties that are guided by anti-communal factors?
Well, I think ultimately at the end of the day, we'll wait for the 16th. The anti-Congress stream which is coming out in this election, most non-Congress parties seem to be doing much better. That will guide the government formation. The third factor, I think the Congress almost abandoned its possibility of forming a government the day it betrayed the left parties. It ruled for 4.5 years with the support of the left, and having done so in the last minute, ditched them. I think the Congress will also pay heavily for that particular act.
Okay, well, we have actually the left front there with us there, Sitaram Yechury of the CPM. Sitaram Yechury, the predictions are that the left is going to come down substantially in its seats. We're looking at a sort of 30 seats for the left front this time as opposed to its 60 last time. In this situation, are you therefore left with no option but to support the Congress, given the fact that if you don't, you may get Mr. Advani as Prime Minister, which may not be a prospect palatable to you at all?
No, first of all, Sagarika, I think it's just a little too premature for you to discuss all this now. You see, I mean, you're right in one sense that most of the actual, let's say, the last act of this political drama will unfold only post 16th when you know the arithmetic. But this is also nothing new or unnatural. In 96, the United Front was formed post-elections. In 98, the NDA was formed post-elections. In 2004, the UPA was formed post-elections. In 2009, we are wanting to form a non-Congress, non-BJP alternative secular government. So, whether that will form or not form, that will all be determined only post the 16th. So, all this speculation right now, I think is completely infructuous and is meaningless.
So, in that case, Deeptosh Majumdar, do you think the left will have to eat its words, like it's saying at the moment, no question of support to the Congress, non-BJP government? Will the left be substantially forced to perhaps change that position if it takes a beating at the polls?
Depends on how the left interprets the mandate and depends on how much strength, how much solidity.
If it's a question of safeguarding secularism, if it's a question of
that is a big secular
safeguarding
question.
Mr. Advani from becoming Prime Minister.
But given the nature of the face-off that we have seen between Prakash Karath and Manmohan Singh, that is a little difficult at this stage. I think what will matter substantially is two issues. Access to fresh allies. If you look at it from this point of time, the Congress certainly has an advantage. But the other aspect is who's first off the starting block. I think in that respect, the NDA has a slight advantage.
Let me just ask you, Arun Jaitley's point that in fact the limited political geography of the BJP gives it greater political flexibility, greater coalition partners possibly because parties are not ranged up against it, like for example, as is the case with the Congress.
Let's look at specifics. Who are the parties that will go with the BJP? It's clear that there are four clear targets. There is Mayawati, there is Jayalalitha, there is the TDP and there is Mamta. Two have been part of this alliance, or all four of them at some stage have been allies of the BJP. The question I want to put to Mr. Jaitley is very specific. Mr. Jaitley, do you see Mayawati and Jayalalitha as potential allies? The reason I am asking this is because we were on our Marathi channel IBN Lokmat where a Shiv Sena leader said very clearly, we don't mind giving deputy prime ministerships to both Mayawati and Jayalalitha if that makes LK Advani the prime minister of the country. Are you ready to tie up with Jayalalitha and Mayawati, sir?
Well,
you need both.
Let me tell you.
You need both. Let's be honest.
I am not going to. I am today not going to comment on any of these possibilities. I find that the UP scenario is such where we are making considerable headway. We are fighting the Samajwadi Party and the BSP there, and therefore the possibility of my making any prediction in this regard doesn't arise. I don't see that kind of a possibility happening. But let me tell you, I didn't have one of the parties that you named in mind when I was making this proposition. All that I can say when the fifth round of voting still remains, most political parties which are going to do significantly well in their states are non-Congress or anti-Congress. The third front possibility is becoming increasingly more difficult. And therefore, with the nucleus as the NDA, the non-Congress parties eventually may have very few options except rallying around the NDA.
But Mr. Jaitley, I just want to persist with the one point that I was asking you earlier. There is a minority factor that has come into political calculations at the moment. The TDP left you after the Gujarat riots. Naveen Patnaik has said openly it was because of Kandhamal that he has left you. Mayawati is wooing the Muslim vote very assiduously and is mindful of the minority vote. Now, are you concerned at all that anti-Congressism which you're hoping exists may have been replaced by anti-communalism?
I will tell you, in the last 2 months I have said repeatedly that a large number of regional parties have a two-point formulation in their political conduct. A, all of them are not taking rigid ideological positions. Secondly, all of them are following the principle of flexibility, since most of them want to be a part of the next government and they don't know which one it is. Now, some of them have this difficulty that they can't go with the Congress, just as the left can't come with us, because going with the Congress will mean that they lose the space in their own states. and therefore they will attempt various formulations, and I think a cogent one in that is the NDA formulation.
Okay, Yogendra Yadav, is it political compulsion rather than political ideology that will determine the alliances? Basically, if I am a BJD in Orissa and I don't have the BJP really as a great enemy, my main enemy is the Congress. I'd much rather use my political compulsions to perhaps go back to the BJP rather than go to the Congress, which is my direct enemy in the state.
Ideology does play a role. The reason why left would never go with the BJP is ideology.
Or TDP can never go with Congress because it's competing for direct political space.
Yeah. Ideology plays limited role, except that it's not in the old language of anti-Congressism. I think Mr. Jaitley may have confused non-Congress with anti-Congress. The important other point that he's making is a question of interlocking of state and center.
Right.
And that's a very important scenario. Here we have three parties, JDU, Akali, TDP. Notwithstanding all the speculation that I've heard in the last 2 days, I don't see why Mr. Nitish Kumar will risk his own government in Bihar by trying to attempt something like this. So
what if he's offered deputy prime ministership?
JDU, Akali.
What if he's offered a big plum ministerial berth in Delhi?
And losing his own long... Not only lose Bihar chief ministership, but also do not have an ally in the next Bihar election to go to polls with. So you have JDU, Akali and TDP who have tied with the NDA in that interlocking. On the other hand, you have Trinamool Congress, you have BJD, possibly in case BJD is slightly short of majority in Odisha. You have ADMK who can gain by Congress withdrawing support, and you have the Samajwadi Party which have similar interlocking arrangements with the Congress. That I think would matter far more than a simple language of pro-Congress, anti-Congress and things of that sort.
Right. Mr. Jaitley, why don't you respond to that?
Non-Congressism is certainly an important principle which will guide the functioning of the next government. Locking up is possible. Locking up may not only mean locking up with the NDA. The TRS wants Telangana. The NDA will give Telangana. The Congress is not committed to Telangana. You will find several situations like this arising, and I think the eventual reality will be India needs a government. Elections must produce a government. Once a Congress-led government is eliminated and a third front doesn't seem plausible, there is only one option left. And if that option has a nucleus which is reasonably large, which is reasonably stable, I think the possibility of people rallying around this will be higher.
Okay, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singh, go ahead.
Sagarika is a problem, nucleus being large or small, because then there's a pool effect. UPA in principle has a much larger pool to draw from. NDA has a much smaller pool to draw from. They can draw more, but their pool is smaller simply because left, SP, RJD, possibly LJP are parties which would never go with them.
The advantage, of course, they have is that the two parties who they could go to are likely to do well. Mayawati may not do as well as some might have thought a month ago, but she's still getting 30 seats. If Jayalalitha also does well and the NDA gets 200 seats, then the NDA is in pole position to form the government. I think and this is the point that Abhishek Manu Singhvi seems to be discounting at the moment. Abhishek Manu Singhvi has to tell us how is he going to woo the left when it's taken this position that they will not, sir, support you in any circumstance. They will not support a Congress-led government. Without the left, how does a Congress form a government, sir?
Rajdeep, I think this discussion is becoming too abstract. Let me meet head on the points made. Let's take a few names. Let's try to be specific. First, you have to be the single largest party, and we've already discussed that. I can give you the arithmetic from Jammu and Kashmir downwards. However so much it might be not to the liking of Mr. Jaitley, individual states, if you add up, the Congress is likely to be the single largest party. Assuming that, I'm not contesting that for the moment, assuming that in my favor, the question you're now asking is, let's look at the allies. I don't even think it's capable of debate. Does Mr. Jaitley suggest that if you are the single largest, the SP will even think twice going, and I'm only speaking hypothetically, RJD, where will it go? The Farooq Abdullah's party, the
no, but Mr. Singhvi, I just want to alert you to one point, which is that the left is key. If the left is supporting you, you can then form the government. In that case, others will gravitate towards you when it looks like you're forming a government. So then Jayalalitha is also attracted to you because then she can use you to dismiss the Karunanidhi government. But that's only if you're looking as if you're forming the government.
Sagarika, let me complete. I started by saying that you have to be the single largest pole around which people will gravitate. If you are that, I contest Mr. Jaitley's concept that people will gravitate towards the NDA even though the Congress is the clear single largest.
Okay.
Barring one or two names you are taking, just a minute, every
Mr.
name in
Sitaram
India,
Yechuri.
every name in India comes to us. I'm not taking the left for granted, but the left has been with us. I'm surprised at the crocodile tears being shed.
Okay,
to the left
Mr.
by
Sitaram Yechuri, what if it looks like Mr. Advani, or to put it another way, Mr. Modi even, is possibly going to become the Prime Minister of India? There is going to be another Hindutva government and Hindutva agenda. Will you forgive yourself that you let this happen and stand by? Will you forgive yourself for letting that happen? I'm asking you.
No,
I mean, don't you consider that a possibility that you would like to resist?
No, but what are you all discussing? You're just amusing yourself with some abstract, formulations. I mean, it's okay, Mr. Advani may be the
what is your political objective?
That's not the issue.
What is your political
I'll
objective
tell you
at
why.
this moment?
Please bear with me. Please let me, just bear with me for a minute. No, what is the single largest party would be able to form the government? In 1996, you had the BJP as the single largest party. They formed the government for 13 days. They last after that. No, I mean, you're forgetting your own experiences. You're forgetting what has happened. I mean, this amnesia is amazing. So what we are saying is, wait till the 16th, let's see the S20. We are saying that there is a strong possibility for a non-Congress, non-BJP formation to form the government.
Sitaram Yechuri, who's your enemy number one? Sitaram Yechuri, who's your enemy number one? Is it the Congress or the BJP? You will have to confront that situation. Who's your enemy number one, the Congress or the BJP?
I'm Mr. Rajiv Sardesai, working for a situation right now. I'm in the middle of a battle where I'm fighting to win the battle to form a non-Congress, non-BJP political alternative.
Okay. Let's
and you are asking me, no, 1 minute, you are asking me a question saying that if I lose the battle, what will I do?
But the point is,
why should I be in the battle at all?
You owe the citizens of India an answer. You owe the voters an answer. You owe the citizens of India and the voters an answer. What is your political objective in this election?
Sagarika, let's not arrogate to ourselves a great deal of importance. The voters of India will answer when they vote. And that is the vote. Please, in all these discussions of yours, you're discounting two important issues. One is, there are people behind all these boardroom calculations, and you think it's all at the will and mercy of the leaders to decide what they're doing, irrespective of who casts the vote.
But loud thinking on all possible permutation combination has been started by the politicians. They can't blame the media in the middle of the polls.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the politicians that are thinking aloud, Mr. Sitaram Yechuri. But let's take a break at this point and come back and talk about Bengal. 75% voting in Bengal, the big Bengali turnout this time. Is it a vote for change, a vote for Poriborton? Is the left in serious trouble in its bastion? Welcome back to Face the Election and to this Phase 4 polling day special. Let's bring you the next question we're asking on the show tonight. Is the high voter turnout in Bengal a signal of change? That's the question we're asking next. Mr. Sitaram Yechuri, are you a bit alarmed at that high turnout there at 75%?
Well, I'm not really alarmed, but there are two ways of looking at it. You see, I mean, you're speaking to me. I'm right now in Metia Burj, which is near Diamond Harbour in South Calcutta. After 5 meetings today, and there is huge, large turnouts at the election meetings, which is very good, very positive, and it will do us a lot of good. But much of the high voting, whether it was in Darjeeling or whether it's in Tamluk today, has also been because of a factor where our polling agents were not allowed, at least in Tamluk, in 42 booths. So how many votes were cast inside is anybody's guess. Because there was absolutely no check. Nobody else was, not only us. Nobody else was also arrived, no other contesting parties. The complaints are there with the Election Commission. Let's see what they'll do. But that is also one explanation for very high voting.
Mr. Sitaram Yechuri, it was disturbing to see the firing and the violence once more in Nondigram. It was, to the observer again, very disturbing to see this kind of poll violence in West Bengal.
I hope your cameramen were not involved, because there were lots of other channels, whose cameras and the crew were actually very badly manhandled, and they'll tell you who did it.
But are we to assume that the CPM cadres who normally engage in these kind of violent acts were not involved this time?
I mean, your knowledge of what is normal is very strange, Sagarika.
Okay.
Because I mean the people who die are CPM people, and then you say the CPM indulges in all this.
Okay.
Very strange. I mean, why do we go around killing our own people?
Go ahead.
Well, this is Diptosh, Mr. Yechuri. I just wanted to ask, Tamluk is where Nandigram is. Does this alarm you to the extent that land has become a big issue now with the in the rural hinterland of West Bengal?
I don't think so at all. The issue is not land. The issue is straightforward politics. And since you have some knowledge of Bengal, I hope, you will know that there has been in Bengal for the last 2 decades a thing called the Keshpur line. And since you know what that politics is all about, it is not land being the issue.
But Keshpur politics...
Now you try and go into Singhur and try and do the sort of, ask anybody there that what is the one that is...
Are you trying to suggest...
their minds there, they'll tell you.
Are you trying to suggest it is use of force by the opposition, as you have alleged is at the root cause of Keshpur violence?
Yes, it's absolutely. It's the same Keshpur line that is being followed even in Nandigram today, that is now sought to be replicated in Lalgarh.
Right.
And today, if you want all the allies who were there with the Trinamool in this entire struggle in Nandigram have all been attacked. It's not only the CPI. Mr. Siddiqullah has been attacked.
Okay.
I mean, but
that is what happened.
The other allies who were there with them, they were all been attacked.
Right.
So you see what sort of a thing that is being unleashed.
Keshpur, of course, the killing fields there of Trinamool and CPM, where in fact the CPM cadres were, many would say, massacred by Trinamool cadres. But Sitaram Yechuri, what do you make of Rahul Gandhi's statement saying that there are parts of West Bengal that are like Kalahandi in Orissa and that the CPM has neglected Bengal's poor?
Well, those parts that were mentioned, like Purulia and Bankura, we have given the statistics of Mr. Manmohan Singh's government itself to show that in all social indicators, they are better off not only with Kalahandi, but they are better off than Raebareli and Amethi.
Should Mr. Rahul Gandhi have said that?
These are the statistics of Manmohan Singh government.
Right. Well,
and these have been published here, and it's common knowledge here.
Would you like to take issue with Rahul Gandhi on that?
What is the point? I mean, they are people in elections make assertions. And when they make assertions, when they are wrong, it's our duty to point out, and everybody sees it as wrong, and therefore the people will make their own decisions.
Okay, well, Mr. Yechuri is sounding quite conciliatory there.
Sagarika, I just want to make one more point here. You see, in a democracy, when you like it or not, yes, there may be times when people would vote. I mean, I would not be very happy people voting for Narendra Modi in Gujarat, let's say. But for 7 times in a row, if the left front keeps winning in Bengal, you ought to be a little serious and try to introspect why.
Right.
I mean, don't treat people with such contempt, saying that that they are herd. There's some sort of a herd that they can be burdened into doing something that we want them to do. And that is where I think Bengalis are also learnt this, that they will not take such disrespect or insults very easily.
Right. Go ahead, Yogen.
No, I just wanted to comment on what
your analysis of Bengal this time.
You see, it is true that Left Front has won 7 times. That doesn't mean it's going to win for the 8th time. Whatever report we are getting from the ground suggests that something very serious is happening in Bengal. Earlier, people were resentful, but they would not talk about it. Those who would talk would not vote against the left, and the votes would not translate into seats. We don't know if the third thing has happened today. We really don't know. We don't have any polls of that sort. But the first 2 levels have been crossed, which is to say people are beginning to speak, and the speech is turning into votes, which is a sign of a major change in Bengal this time.
As an observer, in fact, of Bengal elections, I must say that this, the lack of cadres, the lack of violence, the lack of those huddled, menacing cadres all over the place, it's really a revelation to see elections in Bengal like this.
I think the other campaign, the positive campaign, that they couldn't bring Nano because of Mamata Banerjee, that has not really clicked in Bengal rural hinterland.
Go ahead, Mr. Yechuri. I knew you would want to respond to that. Come on, Mr. Yechuri.
But who told him that?
We know.
Yeah, but who told them that? I'm here in Bengal. I've just finished 5 meetings and huge meetings, and I'm talking to Bengali voters. They don't seem to say what you're saying in your great analysis on the thing. And anyway, I'm only satisfied with one thing. much of the predictions that have been made by festivologists have never turned out to be true. That is reassuring for me. That is reassuring for me.
All right, let me get a quick comment in from Abhishek Manu Singhvi just quickly before we go to break, and we have to say goodbye to Mr. Yechuri, but we're going to hang on to Mr. Jaitley. I know he's impatient, but we're hanging on to him for dear life. But Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, I'm going to ask you a question. Was it wise for Rahul Gandhi to say that West Bengal is like Kalahandi, when on the one hand the left is key, the left is you're wooing the left is your ally, yet your chief campaigners are going to West Bengal and castigating the left for its development record? Isn't this a bit confusing?
Sagarika, you haven't followed up on your own comment. This is the largest, one of the most remarkably large turnouts. Conventional wisdom, which has not been displaced, tells you that for an incumbent government, such a huge turnout should be a sign of serious alarm. 75% turning out today. The reason is a very, very strong simmering anger, not discontent, including that about Sindoor and Nandigram, but not limited to that.
Mr. Yechuri,
Rahul Gandhi has done nothing except state a few candid facts, and it's been displaced long ago that we don't have to be in a state we can't criticize and be in power, a collaboration in the center. The two are different. It's happened with the JDU and the BJP. They fought elections in Karnataka and were in power together in the center. It's happened with us that the left was supporting us in the center, but we have fought elections fully at the state level in Tripura, Kerala and West Bengal, and we continue to do so.
Mr. Yechuri, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, number one, the percentage figures are not very alarmingly high. There's nothing unusual in Bengal. And secondly, what I've told you, where this Nandigram has happened or Darjeeling has happened, these huge things have happened because of reasons otherwise, which are now being looked into by the Election Commission. And to draw from their fanciful conclusions. That's why I say, wait till the 16th, let us see the results, and then we will know. I mean, same things were said even in the earlier elections. Tell me, Sagarika, did you say, give a figure of more than 30 to 40 to the left in the 2004 elections?
But can I say one thing, that we actually gave a figure of 235 for your 2006 victory, which is exactly what you got.
We actually did.
Just a small bit.
We remember.
We can forget about it.
We got that completely right. But on that point, we're going to have to take a break. Mr. Yechuri, thanks very much indeed for joining us. We're going to let you go and attend your meeting there in West Bengal. Thanks very much indeed. Arun Jaitley and Abhishek Manu Singhvi are staying on with us. They're not letting us down. After the break, former Chief Ministers of UP, Mulayam Singh Yadav and Kalyan Singh face the voter today. Will their alliance damage the Samajwadi Party? And is there growing nostalgia and goodwill increasingly for the national parties in Uttar Pradesh? Welcome back to Face the Election and to this Phase 4 polling day special. Our next question tonight is, are the winds of change blowing through UP and Bihar? Are the national parties there staging a comeback? We have two of the best representatives of the national parties here. Mr. Arun Jaitley, you have a UP line, and your line is that the upper caste, who in coalition with Mayawati created that big victory for her in 2007, are actually leaving Mayawati now. But can we be sure that they are coming to you? And what evidence is there that they are actually leaving Mayawati?
You see, the 2007 victory of the Bahujan Samaj Party in UP was not a positive vote. A large number of voters thought that she was best suited to replace the Samajwadi Party. So she won substantially on a positive vote, but the incremental vote was a negative vote. I think the BSP and Mayawati both lack the capacity to sustain that social combination indefinitely. 3-4 factors have contributed to a disenchantment in this section of the voter. There is huge corruption, there is arrogance in governance, and frankly all the gundas that she campaigned against who belong to the Samajwadi Party are now all contesting as candidates of the Bahujan Samaj Party. The BSP government has lost credibility, and therefore there is a shift of a significant voter which had moved away from the BSP to the BJP. Now, why it can't go to the Congress is a rule. The Congress is not substantially strong in UP. We are best suited to replace the BSP. Wherever we are weak, some part of that vote may even go to the Congress.
Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, respond to that it's actually the BJP which is benefiting from the relative decline of the BSP.
Barring one point on which I agree with Mr. Jaitley, I think the BJP is living in a dream world of its own. UP will in fact be a defining and a very interesting result. it will be, I think, a very, very different result than what most people expect. This is the first time after the early 90s that the Congress is poised, A, to fight as many seats as this time it is doing, B, because of that, there is a clear choice before the electorate. The electorate, which always wondered whether the Congress was in alliance with this or that or the other, now is a clear choice. There is a growing disenchantment. There I agree with Mr. Jaitley. The BSP is the most over-exaggerated, hyped party. They are fighting 500 odd seats, and you will see that in proportion they will do much, much worse than people expect. The Congress, therefore, naturally has to get that natural alliance. 1 second more. Has to get a natural alliance of the Dalits, the minorities, and parts of the Thakur and the upper caste vote.
Sir, can I just throw a googly at both of you?
Of the Congress.
You actually need, both of you, Mr. Jaitley in particular, actually ironically needs Mayawati to do well so that she becomes a post-poll ally. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, you need Mulayam to do well so he becomes a post-poll ally. So actually, while you may get more percentage of votes, you actually need the seats to go to Mayawati and Mulayam. Mr. Jaitley, would you concede that? You're saying you don't want to go to specific allies. Isn't she the ally you want to go to?
Well, I can tell you what I need at the moment is the Samajwadi Party's vote has substantially declined. Its vote is being, except the Yadav vote that it gets, its vote is being split between the other two. The BSP has lost a significant part of its upper caste vote. It is now trying to split Samajwadi Party's minority vote. Congress at 10% vote doesn't suit me. So if Congress also gets a little higher vote than that, without getting too many seats, that perfectly suits me. And that's what's happening in UP today.
Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the Rahul Gandhi line of wanting to go it alone in Uttar Pradesh has actually meant that you're cutting into your own allies' votes so that in the end of the day you're left with a much highly weakened ally.
Sagarika, we will not need so many of the allied seats and votes if we do well ourselves.
But you won't get seats, you will only get votes.
Just a minute, let me complete. No, I'm talking of seats. This is the first time after many years that we are fighting upwards of 60 seats.
You have actually bitten. No, Mr. Singhvi, you have bitten the hand that feeds.
No, just let me complete a sentence without completing the thought process. You're asking me another question. We fought about 20 odd seats last time and got 9. We are fighting over 60 seats this time. Given the choice for the voter, given the natural inclination for the Congress, our proportionate performance would be much, much better. That's point one. So we'll require less of the SP seats because we'll have seats of our own. Secondly, there is no question of biting the hand that feeds us. We tried our best to have an alliance. If it doesn't work out and we do well on our own, even then if we need support, I don't see SP and LJP and RJD joining the NDA.
Okay. Mr. Jaitley, why don't you respond to that? That in any case, SP, RJD, LJP will not...
Well, Abhishek Singhvi has said that repeatedly. These are all parties, National Conference 2 or 3 seats. LJP will have 2 or 3 seats. RJD, its chief is probably losing both his seats that he's contesting. Now, these are insignificant parties in the next Lok Sabha. They are all single-digit parties. You may have 5 such allies. They won't total up to 20.
We're coming back to that same old story, Mr. Singhvi, the left. The left is actually key to you, and it really is key, because without the left you cannot form a government. If you cannot form a government, then the other regional players cannot gravitate towards you, because their one sole attraction for you will be if you are in the position to form a government.
We will be able to form a government not because of the left on a theoretical anticipatory basis. We'll be able to form a government only if we are the single largest party. If we are the single largest party, all those people you are talking about will gravitate to us. They will gravitate to us, and so will the left.
So you are both the left. Can I ask a question, please?
And certainly I won't go to the NDA.
Go ahead.
Now, I would like to request Dr. Singhvi to please clarify, if Congress is not the single largest party, will they give up the proposal of forming a Congress-led government?
That's so hypothetical a question. If I put the same question to you, Arun, you won't be able to answer it, because I have absolutely no doubt that we are the single largest party.
I have no doubt if we are not the single largest party. Therefore, don't repeatedly say you are going to be the single largest party and that's the end of the matter. You are not going to be the single largest
No, but
party.
that's what I'm saying.
No, sir, I want to know
Why?
from
Because
both.
you have to add up. Let's add up right now.
Sir,
let's add up on this show. Ask Yogendra Yadav to add up from Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, state by state, and you will see on an individual edition the BJP can't exceed the Congress.
Sir, I want to ask.
challenge you to do anything else.
No, you are both the top lawyer politicians. I want to ask both of you that question. Do you believe, Mr. Arun Jaitley, if you are not the single largest party, the president should not invite you first? Or will you not try to form a government?
Well, I think it's a combination. It's a combination of three factors. You are the largest party, you are the largest single pre-poor alliance, and you have a reasonable possibility of attempting to give a stable government.
Sir, you're not answering the question.
The president looks into all the three factors.
What do you believe?
I have given you what the legal position is.
Okay, what do you
I
believe?
have given you the legal position.
What's the political?
President's decision must be therefore based on a correct analysis of these three factors.
But to both of you, should the single largest party have the advantage in being invited first? I'm asking both Abhishek Manu Singhvi and...
If there is, yes, let me answer that.
Yes.
Rajdeep, let me answer that. If there is a single largest party, and I have no doubt that will be the Congress, then yes, the President is obliged constitutionally to call upon that party. There shouldn't be many ifs and buts.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you're not the single largest
party, which is not the single largest party, yes. If there's not a, if there is not the single largest party, but everybody around declares to the President immediately that we support this party in a clear declaration, then the President may have to look at that as well.
But Mr. Singhvi, let me make a submission to you.
That you are not the single.
Let me make a submission to you,
which
Mr. Arun Jaitley said.
And somebody makes a decision of stability.
But I submit to you.
Yes, go on, Mr.
Both
Jaitley.
President Shankar Dayal Sharma and President R. Venkatraman followed the practice of calling the largest single party, and I have no difficulty in accepting let the largest single party be called first.
So you're saying let the largest single party be called first, Arun Jaitley?
Yes.
Okay, so you are very clearly saying let the largest, if the BJP is not the single largest party, then the Congress should be called first. If the and Abhishek Manu Singhvi is conceding that if the BJP...
President R. Venkatraman, President Shankar Dayal Sharma followed the same principle.
And Abhishek Manu Singhvi, you are conceding the same. If the BJP is the single largest party, the President should invite them first.
I am not conceding. I made the assertion first. I said that the single largest party should be called first, and I have no doubt that the Congress will be the single largest party.
Okay, but the single largest party, because that is going to be possibly very important. Thanks both of you for clarifying where you stand on that. I think you've made it very clear the single largest party does have that advantage.
Right, but let me
Absolutely, that's the poll.
Okay, well actually we're completely out of time at this particular moment, but thanks very much indeed to Abhishek Manu Singh and Arun Jaitley. They always enhance the program and they're there and they're always there with their knowledge and their insights. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Our panelists of course will stay with us. We'll be back in a very short while.